Welcome to episode 730 of Salsido Paranormal. I'm your host, James Salsido, here again tonight with Jen, the Arcane Observer. And tonight we're going to continue talking about communications between the living and the dead. As always, thank you all for listening. And now I can say that you can find all episodes of the show, along with links to social media, ways to listen, and support the show over on my website, thanks to Michael Strange, and that is salsidoparanormal.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.com. And again, very, very grateful to have that website, and hopefully you all can check it out. And of course, I'll be including it in all of my episode descriptions from now on as well. So, but with that, this has been a great conversation so far. And looking forward to going deeper into it. So, Jen, welcome back to the show.
Hey, it's good to be here.
Yeah, so we covered a lot of my experiences in the last episode here. I don't know if you want to go into what you were going to talk about, or go from there.
Yeah, I mean, so with having dreams about people who have we've lost, while you were talking about it, it reminded me of like one particular one that I'll talk about. I had a experience. I had it in a dream. It was so my uncle Arnold. In the summertime, I used to go visit my aunt and uncle when I lived in Texas. I'd go stay the summer a little bit, and Uncle Arnold, he had lost his legs in the war, and I was really little, so like all the kids wanted to ride around on his scooter he had, and he was just this big character, like just really funny, and I only ever knew him without his legs,
Right.
So, and I hadn't so in this dream, and he passed away, and then it was kind of out of the blue, but like several years later, I had this dream where I was walking in like a city, of some kind. I'm not sure what city it was, and I was walking on the sidewalk, and there was this door in between these layout of storefronts, and I went through the door, and I went up these stairs, and I went into an apartment, and there was like a small party going on. There was like, it was old. It looked old. Everything was like a different time period. And there was a record player, and there was somebody like on an organ or like a piano too. And people were having these drinks. They were having cocktails. And people were just talking. And there were probably like, I don't know, maybe 6, 8 people, a good handful of people in this small space. And one of them was this man, and remember exactly how he looked. Like he had his hair parted off to the side, and it was like greased over, and he had dress pants and like a dress shirt, everything. And we were talking, and then there was music playing, like the piano and the record and everything.
Right.
Anyway, and it was just like this. It was like this, just a socializing experience and everything, and it was like this warm, really happy feeling. And so I had that dream, and it was really incredible. And then I was over at my my mother's sister's house, and I saw this picture, and it was Uncle Arnold before the war, and it was Uncle Arnold. I had a dream about my Uncle Arnold when he was like probably in his. It was him, like from like when he was like probably in his 20s.
Wow.
And it was identical, And in the dream, with the dancing, because he had his legs and everything. So it was like this really a neat dream, and I knew right then, without a doubt, that I had seen Uncle Arnold. It was incredible. I told my mother about it, and it was just kind of neat.
That is amazing. That's yeah, and with the age thing too. I mean, not to mention in that case is he had his legs and everything, which is amazing. But I've heard of people seeing loved ones after they passed looking younger than they were when they passed as well. And that's an amazing idea as well, a concept as well, that they can or they do for whatever reason look as they did before. And I just wonder how much of that is them choosing to do that, or how much is just their energy is more. It was more. I don't know. The a younger version of themselves was more accurate to what their personality was. Um, I don't know, but it's really amazing that they had that experience.
Yeah, it was crazy because I knew him in his like 70s. It was probably late 70s. The time that I had with him, and I just loved him. Just really, he was just really fun to be around. And that's interesting about the age thing because I had, in this other dream that I'd had, where I was in like this house, and there was this woman in the kitchen, and I knew it was my grandma. Like it looked exactly like her, but she was turned away from me, and she was like at the sink, and she was doing stuff at the sink, and I was in the living room, and I was like a little kid, and there were other little kids around me, like a few, particularly there was a baby, and she called out to me and she said, "Put the baby in the car." Like I lived there or something. And so like I picked up the baby. And I was just like probably 10 or something. Now I had this dream, you know, not too long ago. I mean, probably a couple of years ago. And it was like I was living there with her, like I was her daughter or something. But I knew it was I recognized her. Same hair and face and the same style and everything that she was. And once again, she was like it was like all of her children were littler, and I was like one of them. And she was talking to me like that. When she told me to put the baby in the car, it was like that. But it was just really neat. But yeah, another time, I guess, like that you pointed out, where she was like in another time of her life and I was in it. It was really strange.
It is, yeah. That's I wonder if that's how grandparents sort of, I don't know, when they're maybe on the other side or whatever, they think of their kids and grandkids as sort of in similar ways. I wonder if that was why that is how you had that experience, and how you interacted is sort of through that, basically the idea of you were one of her children, just you know just from later on in life, but you were there in that instance, whatever it was you were together, and it was like a maybe a thought of hers, or idea of hers, of her thinking about what it would have been like to or what it was like to know you as a child, as well as her own kids, and to take care of you when she was younger. I don't know. That's amazing, though.
Yeah, like you had that one dream where you're at like a sort of banquet scenario and you ran into one of your family members and you kind of hugged and you saw each other. Like
Yes.
yeah, I had it was so strange because I had another dream like that too, but it was like from a family member I wasn't particularly close with. I was always kind of afraid of her. It was the grandmother on my stepfather's side, but I always really respected her, but I was like afraid of her kind of. She was really like a really strong sort of presence, and
Right.
even when she passed away, I didn't even hear much about it for a while. Like I hadn't even gotten the news about it at all. But
Mm.
years after that, I had this dream where we were there. I was in like this. I don't know if it was like a church or like some kind of meeting area where there's like it's looked fairly new, like a typical new building. And like the low pile carpet and everything, and tables with food, like a family reunion type scenario. And I remember going out into the hallway, and there were all these people talking and visiting, and I was the same age as I was then. It was like present time for me almost. And I saw her, and like walked up to her, and she like did the same sort of way. She was really loud, and wonderful like that, in a way. And it was like her jewelry, the smell of her, everything was like spot on, and it was like she was just there, at like a family reunion, that she had passed away. She was, and it wasn't a memory of anything, because I don't remember us ever having anything like that with her, with them. So it was really neat. It was as if like we had a closer connection than I had thought. Because for me to even dream it or to think about it, but I did think that it was as if she was reaching out in that way somehow. And there was another time where, like, my grandma, I called her my Mima, and on my mother's side, and I only had that one dream I told you about, and then I had this one other dream not long after she had passed away, and it was like I was in this dark room, and I saw like right next to me, like in kind of an illuminated light, a hand like brush by, and it was like her. She always wore this particular like rings and watch and everything, and I just knew it was her hand, and I just saw it like it was a dream experience, but I knew it was her, like for sure, and that was all it was. That was all it was. But it was really neat to have it, you know.
Yeah, and that's amazing that it happened like that. And I'm glad that you were able to identify who it was by what they were wearing on their hand and everything. And that is amazing. Just real quick, going on the family reunion kind of thing. I had a dream. I didn't see anyone that had passed away that was there at the time, but I had a dream years ago about being out in the country in the middle of nowhere. I don't even know where we were. And I was with my family on my dad's side, and there are people there that I know that are alive right now that were there with me. But then there was a bunch of other people there in this place out in nature and everything, and they all looked like my family. I don't know who any of them were, but it was like we were there at a family gathering, and it was people from I don't even know different points in time all there together at the same time. I wonder if that was either my grandparents or someone else within the family, sort of giving off the idea of us all being connected because it was so vivid, it was realistic, and but yeah, I didn't see anyone there else that I recognized that had passed on, but the feeling was that same kind of warmth and everything that I had from my other experiences with family. So yeah, I think that's a possibility, and I'm sure you've heard it before of people having experiences where they find themselves in either waiting rooms or in um, gathering places, whether it's outside or inside, and meeting family members that have passed on there as well.
Yeah, I think there's something to it. Like when you've done shows about that, and I'm reminded of that for sure. The other thing that I think is really weird is like about meeting people you haven't met before. But I've had dreams like okay, so it's like people that I have lost that I would hope to see in a dream. It's really strange because I haven't had, like I hope to see all of the people that I've mentioned already. But, like my Uncle Arnold and my grandmother and my other grandmother on the other side. But it's really bizarre. Like individuals who I had a lot more interaction with. I don't I haven't had a, like any type of dream of them, which is really odd. So it's like I think it's neat that these individuals in life that I had a fairly regular, like in the summers and things like that, or in certain seasons or on holidays that I would run into or be around. But then others that I would see on like a regular basis, like daily, not have dreams of them. Isn't that weird?
It is, but it sort of I wonder if that's because they didn't get to know you as well in life, and so they wanted to change that
Yeah.
and maybe meet you and I'm not trying to pick to say that for you necessarily just yourself, but for people that have, because I've heard that before too. People that passed on that they were not as close with come to them in dreams, but then they don't have other dreams of people that they were close with. So I wonder if that's part of it.
I don't know. It's just really neat, and the way that they present it's really strange. I think, like at least in mine, it was like there was no. I didn't know it was going to like there was no preparation for it or anything. It was just I was just immersed in it suddenly. Like with that dream with my grandma, I was like where she was in the kitchen, kind of preparing something for going on a car ride somewhere. But it was like I was just like a part of some memory of hers or something, where I was like in it that way. And then with Uncle Arnold, it was much like that too. It's like I was seeing some, like I was just playing a role at some point in his, in a memory he had or something. I don't know how to explain it. I'm not sure what it was, but it was with Uncle Arnold's dream. It was definitely like I don't know. It was just so strange, just really incredible.
Yeah, that makes me wonder now too if maybe some of these experiences we have or people have, they weren't intentional. If it's more someone after they passed remembering certain things and thinking of certain things, and somehow we pick up on that, and there's this interaction there between that person and yourself, and you finding yourself there in like you said, maybe some version of their memories, possibly if they're made of energy, then maybe they could be, I don't know, manifesting that somewhere, maybe even in a dream realm that they're not even aware they're doing that. And because we're aware of them and that they had passed, we just somehow end up in those experiences in some cases.
Oh yeah, I think so. And then, I mean, like with my papa after he passed away. That's the only funeral I've ever been to. Was my papa's funeral, and after when he passed away, we lived had moved farther away from where he was, and we just go back and visit in those last years because we had moved. And I remember being in my room and a photo of his because I had many of his things. I had like his photo album he sent me with, and a picture of him. He had this photo album of like all of his family photos and things from like, it was all black and white, probably the 30s or something. And he was in the war too, and so there was like, and I had he played guitar and stuff. So I had those things, and I even had after he passed away, I took his suits. He wore these suits, and I took those because that's what they were doing, and they were cleaning out his house. So I had, but at this point in time, I didn't have his suits. But I was just, I loved him very much. But when he passed away, I had a picture of him, and it fell off. It fell over, and I didn't think much of it. But I remember being like, that was so. It just fell over by itself, and then I did hear that he'd passed away, and then there was the funeral and everything and all of that. It's really odd because like my aunt, then she said that this was years later, that in the hallway, his photo would like fall off the wall and stuff, and I didn't tell her about with his photo falling over, my experience. I didn't tell her that for some reason, but I thought about that, and it was like that. I felt like that was, I don't know, that somehow he was doing it. That he was doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard similar accounts as well with that, with objects that are pictures of the person or the objects that they used a lot. They had a connection to being moved before or after their passing as well. I've heard that as well. And just that these other wild signs that people get from their loved ones after they passed are just. I have one. I'll just be real quick because I want to make sure I share this with you as much as I can. But after my grandpa passed, and my grandma had a family gathering there one summer. My grandpa used to be the one that would go around the house and the yard and pick up all the cans and everything. And my grandma had my brother do it. that time because he had passed. My grandpa had passed. And my grandma was telling my brother beforehand that for whatever reason, my grandpa would only take $22, I believe it was, a very exact number of cans to the store. Once he got to that point, he would bag that, and that'd be it, and he would take that to the store. And she never knew why. And so my brother, who was just going around getting all the cans and bottles, wasn't doing that. But, of course, when he got to the store and turned everything in, it was $22 even. And he came back, and that's been a story that I've heard about a little while back. And so it is weird. It's amazing how these signs can happen after the people pass.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And, like, I've heard about pennies and with the same year as some type of coincidental time, things like that. Like, where people have found, like, a penny that has the same year as someone's birth year or something like that. I've heard of things like that. It's really neat. Or finding objects that, for some reason in particular, send off sort of have an affinity for that individual, that a person hasn't thought about in a long time, perhaps. So I do think it goes on and on, this communication, which is very encouraging, about it. It's very neat stories, James. I like hearing the history encounters you have with your family members. It's neat.
Yeah, it's there's just so much, and that's the thing. Sometimes I don't think about anything until I start talking about something else, and then it comes up. But so yeah, I think this has been great. I think we should probably let everyone know what's sort of coming here, and that is these ideas of we've been talking more about the people that have passed on reaching out to us, but in the next couple episodes that we do next weekend, it'll be more about people that are here reaching out in different ways to people over there on the other side. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun to go into that whole topic. And we only have like maybe a minute and a half left, but what are your thoughts on that and what to look forward to there?
Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to those future shows and talking about that. And just the constant exchange between, just that, I think, not to sound morbid or anything like that, but that there is some type of continuance or a never-ceasing experience between these souls that you find yourself around in your family life, in your friendship circles, and things like that. And maybe there is something where you keep, I don't know, for whatever reason, but like that I don't know, that there's some type of tying, or there's some fragment of some, big familial soul. I have no idea. But it's just neat how there's a continual communication and how it's essential, to acknowledge it, I think. I think that more and more in this society, I don't know if it's more or less than it was at one point in time. I don't know, it's something to talk about, in the future for sure. But I had a great time.
Yeah, well, thank you for being here as always, and looking forward to next weekend. So talk to you soon before then, but talk to you next time.
Definitely. Have a good night, James. Thank you.
Thank you. You as well. So yeah, that is it for tonight. We're going to, like I said, get into all that next time, and next weekend, basically, as we record these. Thank you all for being here and listening, and I will talk to you all next time on Salsido Paranormal. Take care.